for being here today and for honoring our amazing mayor, Mayor Jenny Durkan.
This is better than a funeral because I can actually hear it. Right?
I know, right? I know. Being a leader and being the mayor of Seattle takes vision. And it takes not only doing the wide sweeping things that Mayor Durkan has brought to Seattle, but also the small things as well that affect so many people. Our mayor, she was the first mayor to achieve 70% vaccination rate in her city. She helped bring funding for the West Seattle Bridge. But she also did things like bring our high schoolers into higher education through the Seattle Promise and brought 2 years of free education through our community colleges. Not only that, but she brought Orca cards to middle schoolers. I want to take the opportunity to thank our mayor, our hard-working mayor. She has never taken a vacation day since she started working for us. And she has told me that when she leaves,
Don't tell them where.
she's gonna go to a beach, and I hope that she orders a large, complicated cocktail, and she sits and she takes a break, because my goodness, does she deserve it. Thank you, Mayor Durkan. These are for you.
Thank you so much.
And these are for you. I remember one of our walks around West Seattle, you went to Bakery Nouveau and you wanted some macaroons. So here are some macaroons for you. Thank you, Mayor Durkan.
Laura, thank you so much. Well, I want to first, where's Jack? Right here. There he is. Get up here, man.
There he is.
First, thank you for hosting us here, but more than that, to you and to all the other small business owners here in West Seattle and all the residents. It's been the toughest 2 years. It has just been so hard on everybody. And I don't know a small business owner that didn't dip into their own savings to help pay their staff, to keep the doors open. Everybody had to. And every family, you know, suddenly everybody's homeschooling their kids, people are home from school, and we're terrified because we don't know where this pandemic's going to take us. You know, I'll never forget the day I got the call. I had been, it was Friday afternoon, and then Chief Carmen Best and I led a parade of Girl Scouts downtown to introduce the new lemon drop cookie. And that was the end of my week, and I thought, okay, that's a pretty good end.
Yeah.
I was home for an hour, I get a phone call to tell me we had the first deaths in Kirkland, and from that moment on, everything changed in this city. We had to change how we did government. We like small business had to pivot, had to innovate. City Council, I want to recognize Lisa Herbolz, who's here. You know, they had to like change how they did business. You know, one of my favorite places to go, I could tell before the pandemic when it was going to be a hard day, because I'd look at my schedule and they either have a senior center or pre-K on there. Because it was like, oh, okay, we got to give her something fun. And our senior centers were great. You know, we have great senior centers throughout Seattle. But they were also a place that people went not just for the education and the society and the community, but for meals. It was such a critical meal, and if we closed the centers, we suddenly had some of our most vulnerable adults wouldn't be fed. So we had to pivot to figure out how do we deliver hot meals to people. And so throughout the time, everybody had to pivot. And we had no guidebook, we had no handbook, and we had negative help from Washington, D.C. And every step of the way, Seattle stepped up. It was amazing and inspiring. You know, when we said you got to go home and stay home, people went and stayed home. And they helped each other and they figured out what to do. And we had our frontline workers continuing to show up in places that people needed to sell them what they needed, grocery stores, places like this. And we had no vaccine, we had no test kits, we had nothing. And through it all, Seattle just kept doing what was right. We were the first to have mass vaccinations of many cities because we didn't get any direct allocation of tests or vaccines. And so testing, I happened to be on a committee with the mayor of Seoul, South Korea, because there's a group called Climate Mayors, C40 Mayors, and I was the North American vice chair. And we started a COVID response and recovery. It was mayors from Africa and South America and Asia. And the mayor of Seoul, Korea was on. I said, can I talk to you? Because at that time, South Korea had the best testing and contact tracing. And I said, look, is there any way you can help us get tests? And he said, let me go to work on it. So we worked with the consulate, then we worked with the UW. We got our first 100,000 test kits from South Korea. Now, you shouldn't have to do that in the United States, but that started the thing. And then we went, when we said to people, get vaccinations, we didn't have any vaccinations in the city of Seattle. We stood up Lumen Field before we had access to vaccine. And we just went to the White House, to public health, to everybody. And our partners stepped up and we were able to do it. The largest civilian-led vaccination center in America. And we were the first city to hit 70% vaccination rate. I just went to the vaccination site down at Neighborhood House here. All these kids who are now eligible in there getting their shots, adults getting their boosters, people doing what they need to take care of each other. And that's what we had to do through this whole pandemic. And layered on top of this, in the midst of the pandemic, we had one of the most significant civil rights reckonings in our city's history. And we had to really address and look starkly at not just policing, but every one of our governmental institutions and how they were designed to really in a way that had racism built in, and how do we dismantle that and give true opportunity. And in partnership with people throughout the city, community-based organizations, we move forward on that. It's not perfect, we haven't gotten everything we want, but we know that really the best public safety, in my view, comes from having healthy, resilient communities. It means every kid knows when they walk out that their family's gonna have a place to live that's affordable, access to health care, educational opportunity, good green parks. So we as a city really have to invest in that generationally, particularly for the communities left behind. But we also need police. We need police to show up when we need them, and we need alternatives to police. And that's what we've been trying to build. I've been working with Councilmember Herbold this year to try to find ways where we can do those things together. And there's going to be areas where leaders disappear and disagree, I mean. I'm disappearing. Boy, was that frightening stuff. But what I really want is for this city to know that when we come through this hard time, let's give the new mayor every chance to succeed. And there will be ways. It is okay to have robust disagreement, but at the end of the day, we have got to focus on our common needs and aspirations and find ways to move forward together. And I think that we've come through this hard time. As we come out of this pandemic, I feel a little bit like it must have been in London after the Blitzkrieg, and you'd hear the bombs drop and drop and drop, and then people come out and say, whoa, what happened? And I feel that's how we kind of coming through this pandemic. We stayed at home and people came out and were like, what happened to my city? But know that it's every city in America right now. I was just really lucky. I was invited by the White House to go back for the signing of the infrastructure bill. So I was back in Washington, D.C. earlier this week with a group of mayors, and it'd been 20 months since most of us had seen each other. And it was a little bit like a college reunion. But sharing the stories is everybody has the same struggles and challenges right now. But what every city doesn't have is Seattleites. And I really believe that Seattle always finds a way at the end of the day to come together, to pivot, to innovate, and to figure out what do we need to take care of each other. And so I'm really thankful you guys are all here. I really appreciate doing this. I love the ice cream.
It's essential.
And can we sing a big hurrah for Husky Deli?
Hurrah! shoes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Laura too. She's got a new adventure signed up. She's been really such an advocate for all the businesses here in West Seattle. And we're wishing nothing but luck because we want Sound Transit to get here
We're
fast.
gonna get it here.
But otherwise, everybody have some ice cream if you haven't. And thank you so much. It's been really an honor, and thanks for coming down here. I appreciate it. And thanks for the macaroons.